What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Watch Darius TV. I'm back with another review, and this one is of City on the Hill, Season 3, Episode 4, Ugly Like I Said. If you like this video, like, comment, subscribe, and share the video. You already know. Let's start with this review. Okay, so basically, this episode starts with Chris. He's basically being interrogated over Officer Rick's death from the previous episode. You know, because basically this episode, we didn't get an episode from last week, so it's been 2 weeks now. If anybody forgot what happened in the previous episode, but you shouldn't have, you know. Like I said, my theory basically, of course, I don't clearly think that Chris, did anything, but with the twists and turns of this show, honestly, who knows? A part of me has a theory that maybe Chris probably could have maybe sent somebody to kill him. I'm not really sure, but it's I don't know. I don't think he obviously did it, but I do have a feeling that maybe Chris possibly sent somebody to kill him. I don't know. That's probably my theory, basically. DeCourcy and Saban, I don't know how to pronounce their names, so I'm hoping I'm saying that right. I like the scene where they basically were talking in the bathroom, stuff like that. They're both flossing, and their bathroom looks just stunning. Their whole apartment in general just looks best place in the show. Besides, of course, Sinclair's place, but their bathroom, their apartment looks stunning. I hope I can have an apartment like that, or maybe just a small, maybe house like that. I just wish I can take their house and just put it somewhere, because that place is just nice. Um, they basically have a scene where they're talking about Antoine's death and stuff like that, about the cop that killed him, and him being, if they're going to prosecute him and stuff like that. But that was a little small scene. Jackie is he's still basically sleeping with Latia. I hope I'm pronouncing her name right. But this time around, Sinclair walks in, and Latia, I hope I'm pronouncing her name right, sees her husband watching her have sex with Jackie Roar. And it seems a lot like basically they clearly have something planned for Jackie. It seems like most likely Sinclair is using his wife to basically distract Jackie while he goes and basically sleeps with other women. So they definitely are clearly working together and stuff like that to find some way to basically shut Jackie up, because they know that if Jackie eventually ends up really deciding to really want to bring Sinclair in, he's going to be able to. So Sinclair uses his wife to distract Jackie. Scary. These two are, like I said, one of the weirdest couple I've seen in a very long time. Then there's a scene where Jenny is talking to Sue and stuff like that about basically, I guess, thinking that Jackie is cheating and stuff like that. I love her scene where she basically in every episode, basically, this show has such good dialogue. One of the things I like is she says Sue is the best way to make peace with the past, amnesia. I love that. That was a really nice bar. I'm probably might start doing this for like TV shows, movies, albums, basically. If I hear a line in anything that I like somebody's music or a TV show or a movie, a line that I really like, we're gonna have a segment called bars. I guess I don't know. Anytime somebody has any in a TV show or a movie where they have a something that they say, a certain quotation or whatever like that, we're gonna have a segment where we're just gonna name out all the best lines they said in that episode. So I'm gonna have to start remembering that. I'm trying to think of new ideas for the show. But anyway, let's get back to the episode. Jenny suspects Jackie is cheating, like I said, and basically Sue ends up making a reference to Sinclair's wife, Latia. About basically her, being kind of crazy. She says something about how she tortures squirrels or something like that, or she said, but basically making a reference to that's the one who he probably is cheating with. So that all that does is make Jenny basically, you know, start thinking stuff over more, like what's going on with Jackie. It makes her worry more. Then Maggie doesn't want Chris to testify. Basically, I got a feeling that Chris might possibly die maybe before the end of this season. I think with the way he's going on with his tirade and stuff like that, and his crusade against crooked cops, I got a strong feeling he might possibly bite a bullet this season. Possibly, he's just going up against too many crooked cops, and I just feel like he might possibly end up getting it this season. His wife is definitely worried about him in this episode, and rightfully so. There's a lot of crooked cops in his unit. Louis talks to the Corsi, his brother Louis talks to the Corsi about what to do with their dad's house. Most likely, my theory is there's a good chance that the Corsi and Saban, they might possibly move out of where they're at now and move back there, possibly to their dad's house to raise a child. I believe that's my theory. And they probably gonna move back there and live to, take care of a child or something like that. They might feel like their house is not, maybe their apartment isn't really good for to raise a child in. So I get a strong feeling that that's what they might possibly do. Most likely, that's my theory. Sinclair basically makes deal to not talk about. Oh yeah, then there's that scene where Sinclair and Jackie talk, and basically Sinclair says that, hey, look, I know that you've been sleeping with my wife. I know that you've seen me basically sleeping with women who've been kind of unconscious. So basically, sort of has like a deal with him, where not a deal, but he sort of just basically makes a reference to like, hey, I know what you're doing, you know what I'm doing, so let's just not speak on it. And Jackie's just sort of like, I don't like that, but then again, Jackie's also kind of corrupt, so he knows he definitely cannot turn his back on this because his daughter also ended up being drugged too, as we can see in earlier in the series. So he knows that this is something he can't just let go. He cannot, no matter how much he might enjoy being with that man's wife, he knows he can't let this go. He knows he's gonna have to eventually bring Sinclair in, even though he's technically not a cop. But then Grace Campbell, she makes a return in this episode. Since last time we saw her was the end of the previous season, season two. I like her quote about her saying that basically she's not believing that a white cop will ever go to jail for killing a black man. She'll believe that when pigs fly. That quote, I love that quote that she had, that she said that. That was pretty cool. Which, ironically enough, that well, we're going to get into what happens as to why her quote is so ironic. Saban, then there's a scene where Grace and Saban are basically praying before they go to court, and it seems like Saban is just completely uninterested in her praying and stuff like that. I guess the character Saban isn't really religious or something like that. I guess I don't know, but she's definitely not really wasn't trying to get all into what Grace was doing. I guess so. Yeah. Jenny starts to basically investigate Jackie about the house being empty. And she was really, of course, bothered, wondering if he's cheating and stuff like that. But instead, she just says, "Oh, this house is empty," and she wants him to be there because he's working long hours. Really, he's cheating on his wife, but basically, that this whole relationship is, she's trying to hope that he's not cheating, even though he is, and his conscience is definitely getting to him. And also, possibly, there's a chance that Sinclair could also tell his wife that, hey, he's been sleeping with my wife. Or most likely, this couple is so crooked. I believe that Sinclair's wife could possibly just lie and say that basically Jackie probably attacked her or something like that to really, mess Jackie's whole life up. They could possibly just lie on Jackie. Anything can possibly happen. But, you know, probably lie and say that Jackie's the one that's been, drugging these women or something like that. That whole couple was so twisted and crazy that I could see them possibly doing that. That's another theory I have. Chris is on the stand. He basically testifies against Officer Suffren, who killed Anton in last season. So he's still that's what this episode is mainly about. Jackie finds out more about Dominique's death. He's getting closer to basically, I feel like, nabbing Sinclair. He's starting to learn more about what's going on, hearing about the Quaaludes that was in her DNA and stuff like that, and you know what was left. I don't know how else to really describe this, but basically the guy that gave Jackie the information about her autopsy basically says that most likely she was drugged, and whoever had sex with her, has some protection. So it's all basically sort of really starting to make Jackie get closer and closer to basically nabbing Sinclair. Um, DeCourcy suggests basically putting Jackie on a stand to basically help throw Suffering into jail. And Karen definitely hates it, but she decides to go along with it. They hate they have to ask Jackie for help, but they have to do what they gotta do. I love this scene where Jackie and DeCourcy, they basically talk and stuff like that in the court, and they just have that back and forth. I love the dialogue on the show. The dialogue is really good. And then basically Jackie's like, "Yo, I'm not gonna help you guys out. I'm not really trying to be a part of this at all." And of course, he already knew that that's most likely Jackie will say that, so he ends up pulling up a subpoena. So it forces him to have to get on a stand and testify, even though he really didn't want to. Suffering is found guilty, so that basically goes back to Grace's reference that she says that she don't believe that he'd go to jail, but he ends up doing it. So irony at its best, that was good. I like that. Suffering is found guilty. But basically, after Jackie gets on stand and testifies and stuff like that, I don't remember exactly what Jackie was saying, but basically, Jackie, in some sort of way, saved the day if it wasn't for him. So, good on Jackie's part. So, Suffering is up out of here. DeCourcy ends up telling Chris about basically there's this lynching that happened from long years ago, and was never brought to justice. The whole story about the man that was being lynched and stuff like that, and it reminded me so much of Nat Turner. I was wondering if that's what they got it from. But basically, of course, he says that even though they got this one crooked cop out of here, it's like a 10,000 to one. So even though they did won this one round, they have a whole lot to go through. There's so many other crooked cops out there they have to go up against. So many other racist cops. So it's so much that they have to really work towards. And this was just one victory. So he was right though. Saban, basically, she's still having nightmares about her car accident she had from, several years ago. So that's definitely going to be something that's affecting her for the rest of the season. And I'm assuming also her attack from last season is going to also end up really, messing her head up. So two different traumas going on, I guess, going on with Saban. Jenny tells Jackie, he basically isn't used to working a 9 to 5. He used to basically working for the FBI where he worked his own hours. Now he actually has a sort of like a 9 to 5 now, and he basically misses the FBI. Even after last season, he just completely tosses his badge away and is like, nah, screw this job, whatever. He definitely misses it. He just doesn't want to admit it. Saban finds out people are basically working against. Wait, Saban finds out people are working against her. Yeah, okay. Saban finds out that basically, what she's trying to do when it comes down to Mendoza's family and trying to help them out, she finds out there's more going on here. When she ends up interrogating one guy that's from the place that Mendoza worked at, and she starts to realize that this whole thing that she's working against is more people out there that she's gonna have to deal with. It's not necessarily just trying to help Mendoza out and question a few workers. She's actually gonna have to deal with a larger threat that she doesn't know who they are, and we're gonna find out later on in this review. Jackie questions driver. Also, there's a scene where Jackie ends up questioning the driver truck about Sinclair and basically his nights out and stuff like that. About certain women he's been with, if they've been drugged and stuff like that, and just really applying pressure to this driver who ends up cracking under pressure, showing that basically he's getting closer to figuring out what's going on. The driver definitely knows what's going on, and he knows that basically Jackie is sniffing around, so he knows that he found a weak link in the driver Chuck. Who knows what's going on, but he knows he has to keep his mouth shut. Speaking of 10,000, we also find out that Guy Dan is working with Sinclair for his campaign, and Sinclair ends up writing him a check for $10,000. So we see these two crooked guys are clearly working together. I love the scene also where Jackie and Guy, they have a small exchange in the hallway. Basically, Jackie calls Guy a brown noser, and Guy says that he's kissing up to Sinclair. I like their little exchange that they had. That was really interesting. I love the dialogue in this show. DeCourcy wants ex-cop to basically testify against the crooked cops, the two crooked cops. I forgot their names, I can't pronounce it, but him and Chris are really trying to get all the crooked cops up out of here. And I feel like definitely get a strong feeling that Chris might be a get up out of here, though. I don't think they're going to be able to win against their crusade against these crooked cops, but if they get these two out the way, man, it'll be amazing, though. Jackie goes to Dominique's family to learn more about, basically learn more about her, essentially. And he gets nothing. They're told that their lawyer tells them they have to be quiet. And Jackie's like, man, when my daughter ended up hurt, basically I wanted to attack everybody and stuff like that. And he just flips them off and leaves. Then he ends up calling up his daughter, basically because he's worried about her, because he doesn't want his daughter to end up like Dominique, and he ends up, of course, coming off like he's drunk, and it ends up kind of going downhill. Though, even though he really cares about his daughter, he definitely didn't do it in a proper way, because Jackie's a very complex guy, as you can see. And but I like that scene though. It shows that he loves, but he's really not that great at showing it though. Jackie, he's a complex guy. One of the funniest characters in the show, by the way. Love Jackie. Let's see. Jenny tries to talk Karen into basically rehiring him. Jenny goes to his her husband's old boss and tries to get him to rehire her. Basically, says that she helped to get him fired. She's like, yo, I had to get him out of here. I thought that Jenny was gonna probably curse her out for that, but she decides to just let it go. But Karen does tell her how to get him rehired, but basically it comes at a price. He's gonna possibly have to destroy another woman's life just to get him in here, even though Jackie's already corrupt. Then there's a big scary guy that comes to threaten Saban. That's the person that she has to hide to do battle against. She's now finding out that she has to go up against the mob, out of all people, during this Mendoza case. Who would have known? The mob is basically behind a lot of, certain things going on is working against her. Why a lot of people won't seem to talk because they're afraid. So that's scary. Even though most likely, I'm assuming the mom probably may not know that her husband's a cop. So I don't know how that's gonna really work very well. But we're gonna see there. That's definitely. I don't see anything happening to her, but it's not gonna be a good idea though for her working up, against the mob. She definitely needs some help against this Mendoza case, and definitely she ain't gonna get no help besides from the police. So yeah. The course he shows Saban basically watched as it's sort of like a dedication to his dad, and he basically plans to, move this, give this watch to whatever child they have, whether it's a guy or a girl. Most likely he's hoping it's a guy, but could be a girl. So I love their relationship they have. It's so pure. The course and Saban, I love their marriage they got. I like seeing that. Maggie is scared Chris might die, basically from his crusade. Basically going up against the cops stuff like that. One cop ended up dying, and she's afraid of her husband Chris, getting shot, and she wants him to quit, but he's like, yo, being a cop is in his heart, and he can't let it go. So she decides to leave. So this crusade didn't let his wife leave him, and now he's stuck in a house by himself. But he's still going to definitely continue his crusade for sure. I can tell. Jenny ends up hiring a scuba diver to basically hop in a lake to find Jackie's badge. Now that is a sweet love. That she'd be willing to hire somebody to look for his badge just because she really wants him to become a cop again. That's, you know, tie the episode off with Anita Baker, and it's a good episode. I don't know if my video might shut off because my phone is cheap, but this episode was really good. If you like this video, like, comment, subscribe, share the video. I can't particularly talk because I don't know if my video is going to shut down, but I'm going to start to set up these videos a lot better. Where we're going to talk about what we think is going to happen, for the next episode. But for now, my video, my phone is really cheap, so it might cut off at any time. So if you have any theories that you have of what's going to happen in the next episode, leave them, comment, and stuff like that. Share this video, like it, do all that stuff, and thank you for watching my video.